Everybody, happy Hanukkah! Yesterday was the first day of Hanukkah, and today we are going to celebrate Hanukkah. So thanks for joining me today on Activities with Andi. So today we are going to make salt dough, and then we're going to turn that salt dough into a menorah. Now, if you don't celebrate Hanukkah and you don't want a menorah decoration, no problem. There are other ways that you can use this dough to make other types of things that are secular and non-secular. So it'll be really super fun. So let's talk about what supplies we need. So first thing we need is a nice clean workspace. I think this activity is best to do in a kitchen because it can get a little messy. You do need some water, you need to be able to wash your hands. So often doing it in the kitchen is your best bet. I have a cookie sheet here with a piece of parchment on it. I do think using parchment or foil or something is really helpful because it makes cleanup a cinch. I also have a bowl for mixing and a big heavy spoon. You could use a wooden spoon. I like this just big like metal serving spoon. And then I'm using flour, kosher salt, and you can use any kind of salt. It's probably best to use your cheap salt. Don't use your good Himalayan pink salt for this. Just use cheap salt. And then warm water. Those are the main ingredients you're going to need for this step of the process. This process has two steps: making the dough, creating your shapes, and then baking it. And then our second step is after it's baked, then we get to paint and decorate it. Okay, if you want to make this recipe, you can go online and search any salt dough recipe. This is just really basic, simple salt dough. I found this one yesterday when I was preparing for today, and I actually quartered it because the recipe I found called for 4 cups of flour, and that was way more than I needed for today. So this recipe is going to use 1 cup of flour, 1/4 of a cup of salt. Now, this is a great project for little ones to help you do the measuring and the pouring and the scooping. This is all great activities to work on fine motor skills, even simple things like turn taking and following directions. Sometimes for our folks with Down syndrome, those are hard things to learn. So this is a great activity to do that. So 1 cup of flour to 1/4 of a cup of salt. I like to mix those up first, kind of get them all incorporated. Very fun to stir. And I like this because nothing's toxic. It's all just easy, kid-friendly stuff. And then we're going to use between 1/2 and 3/4 of a cup of water. So you're just going to pour it in a little bit at a time and stir. Now, if you accidentally add too much water, no big deal. You can always add a little more flour, a little more sprinkle of salt. And you're just going to stir it. It almost kind of looks like pizza dough. When it starts getting really thick and it gets really hard to stir, you can actually dump it out on the counter. That's what I'm going to do. I like to use warm water because kneading warm dough feels so good to my hands. I just love it. So, pull my sleeves up, and I'm going to dump my dough onto the counter. It looks like a big crumbly mess right now. But you're just going to start squeezing it. I think my dough might need a sprinkle more water. I'll give it just another couple drops. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to knead it and knead it and knead it until it makes a nice, smooth dough. And if yours needs more water, needs more flour, just add a little bit at a time as you go, because you're just going to knead it. This part is a great way to strengthen those little fingers. So strengthen our fine motor muscles, strengthen our hands, help keep those fingers nice and strong. And when we have strong fingers, that makes us good writers. It helps us with lots of skills to make us independent, like writing or tying our shoes, or what else do we do with our fingers? Even feeding ourselves, having good strong hands for that is a great thing. So you can knead this for as long as you want. For the sake of my video, I would probably knead this another minute or 2, but I'm sure you're tired of watching. So for our menorah, what we're going to do is kind of make an oval shape. And you can make this as big or as small as you want. Now, I like to get it kind of started in the shape that I want. If I were to knead this a little more, it would get a little bit more smooth because right now it's still kind of bumpy and lumpy. Now, if you didn't want to make a menorah, you could roll this out thin and do cookie cutters and make shapes. I have my little circle cutter. You could make circles. You could make ornaments for your tree. Whatever you want to do. You could do little handprints for Grandma and Grandpa. That would be so fun. So, we're going to take our dough and put it on the cookie sheet. Now, I want mine a lot thinner because it will bake a lot faster if it's thinner. So I'm going to use my rolling pin. And this, again, is a really fun way to work on strengthening those fingers. So you're just going to roll it as thin as you want. And you can keep kind of shaping it with your fingers to get it just the shape that you want. So here's mine. Now, to make this into a menorah, I would probably roll it a little thinner. But again, I don't want you to have to keep waiting. We're going to take our 4 fingers and you're going to press them into the dough. Let's see if you can see my 4 fingers. Let's see if I can hold this up for you to see. Woo. So I pressed my 4 fingers into the dough to make 8 candles. Now, this is the point where you will have to put this in the oven. You're going to have your oven set to 300 and you're going to bake it for about an hour. After about 45 minutes, you might want to flip it over and let the other side get nice and dried out. You want it to be very dry, but not brown. Okay, really quickly, I'm going to wash my hands. Uh-oh, I don't have a towel out. That's not good. Here we go. All right, I have always wanted to say this, but through the magic of television, I have some already ready for you to see. So, here's my next stage of supplies that we're going to use. So we'll put all our dishes inside. Okay, I hope you can see. Tuck this one over here. All right, so I got this one baked yesterday. And I actually started painting it today. So the colors of Hanukkah are blue and yellow, or blue and white. I don't celebrate Hanukkah, so I don't know as much about it as I wish I did. So that's going to be on my list for this year, is to learn a lot more about Hanukkah. So it's nice and dry. Listen. Can you hear it? This one kind of puffed up in the oven. Can you see how it puffed up a little bit? So what you're going to do to make a menorah is you're going to get out some paints. I have my paints right here. I like to paint, I just have plain little acrylic paints, paper towel, some paint brushes, and a cup of water to rinse my brushes. So, to paint my candles, I'm actually just going to fill in all the grooves of my fingers. And I just have some blue paint. And this is cool because you don't have to be really precise because the dough is a little bit lumpy and bumpy. So you just paint in those candles. And Menorah has 8 candles for the 8 days of Hanukkah. And it's so cool. Yesterday was the first day. So my friends who are Jewish or who celebrate Hanukkah would have lit their first candle yesterday and they'll light another candle today. I think that's really cool. I think I might like to light some Hanukkah candles at my house. Okay. So there's all my candles painted in, and then I think you could paint the background all white. I started to do that, and then I wanted to move on to painting the candles. Now, our candles need flames. So I have some orange paint, and I'm just gonna make kind of a teardrop or a flame shape at the top. This would be a really fun activity for kids or for adults. I love to paint. I will paint pretty much anything because it brings me joy. I like to do paint by numbers. I like to paint on salt dough. So you can just paint your little flames in. I'm going to bring this closer so you can see. Check this out. Isn't that cool? So you can paint it as detailed as you want. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. Now, I told you that not everyone celebrates Hanukkah, and that's okay. And in my family, we don't celebrate Hanukkah. I would like to learn more about it, but we don't celebrate it. We celebrate Christmas. And so I actually made 2 of my salt dough fingerprint ovals, and I painted this one this morning. Can you see it? Let me move closer. I made this one into snowmen. So those are my fingers, see? I painted my fingers in there into snowmen. And then I painted blue around the edges and some snowflakes. So there's lots of different things that you can do with salt dough, no matter what holiday you celebrate. So another thing you could do, we talked about using this cookie cutter, is you could cut out shapes. So I'm going to show you on my dough that I already cut to make my menorah, since I already have one. So you can cut out, say, a circle. And then a really cool thing is you take a straw and you poke a little hole. Oops, this is not a very sturdy straw. Don's probably going to make a video about my mistakes. What do you think? So you can just poke a hole. So when you bake it, that hole will be there, and you could tie a ribbon, and you could hang it on your Christmas tree, or you could hang it outside for the birds. I don't know. But I would love to see what kind of creations that you come up with for salt dough to celebrate Christmas, or Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or maybe even just the winter solstice. There's lots of fun ways that you could make salt dough ornaments and decorations for your house. I hope you have a magical, wonderful day, and I hope if you celebrate Hanukkah, happy second day. I can't wait to see that second candle lit tonight. Friends, thanks for joining me today on Activities with Andi, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Happy Hanukkah!